Good afternoon. Michael Wynn, Chief Digital Officer of Digital Ops, a division of RB Oppenheim Associates. Thanks for joining in today on the Digital Marketing Podcast and video, where we talk about digital strategies to grow your business. Today, I want to talk about recruiting and building culture, a roadmap for any small business. And I'd almost like to have a subtitle here of P.S. We're hiring. Very exciting things are happening in our agency, but I think what I really want to frame this around is an article that Jesse Johnson, one of our team members, shared with me, and it really fits perfectly. For those of you who have followed the video podcast, we've been doing going through the book Traction by Gino Wickman, and it takes your company through creating your core values, creating your core focus, your marketing strategies, 10-year goal, 3-year goal, 1-year goal, and so on. And it's really been transformative for our agency. And as a result, and things always change in the agency world, we do have an immediate opening as an account executive on our team. But I think what I really want to focus in on, and this article that I came across was actually in LinkedIn, and so it was really the inspiration behind today's set. So let's dive right into the roadmap really for any small business to really recruit well and build culture. And I think those two things are really important especially in 2019 as we look forward to 2020. As your company continues to grow, you know, we're going to have different cultures and different world viewpoints as millennials come into, you know, different roles within your company, as, you know, Gen X becomes and finds different roles in your company, while boomers are moving forward, you know, and looking at retirement very, very closely. So all of those things really have an impact. So let's talk about step number one. I think the most important thing, and definitely we've learned as an agency ourselves, is number one, really define why it is you do what you do. You know, what is your purpose? What is your core focus? You know, why do you do what you do? And then combined with that is, what are your core values? And this was something that we spent a lot of time on over the last couple of weeks within our own agency. And, you know, we really looked at and came up collectively with our core values, which is number one, thinking strategically. Number two is being insightful and understanding. Number three, being passionate. Number four, being respectful. Number five, being innovative. And lastly, being visionary. Those are the characteristics of the team members that are part of Digital Ops and RB Oppenheim Associates. Those are the core characters. And now, while one of our team members may be a little bit more heavy in the strategic, another member might be more you know, in the visionary. That's kind of my role. You know, collectively, those are our core values. And sort of the last part to step number one, which is having built on that foundation, what does the future look like? And I think a lot of companies make the mistake, and we're guilty of it. I mean, we've been in business for over 30 years. You know, in the beginning, we had our mission statement, and we had, you know, our core values, and, you know, the reality is the day-to-day stuff gets put on priority, and oftentimes you can lose part of that. And so maybe your small business has been around for 3 years or 30 years, it doesn't matter. You need to make sure you have step one down, which is let your people know why you're doing what you're doing, what your core values are, and what the future looks like. Number two, observe your current culture. So if you look at your current culture and you need to make a change it. It's actually very easy to do, but you have to define it and look at it first. Number three, find and hire a people person. You know, I love this. I think about Gary Vaynerchuk's company, VaynerMedia, and one of his top C-level positions is Chief Heart Officer. And I think that's really important, especially if you go back and you think about as people move forward, the generation of the baby boomers compared to the millennials, their worldviews and things that are important to them are totally different. And having a chief heart officer, a people person as part of your team really can make sure that your core values and your culture are in sync and are being cultivated and organically grown. Step 4, build your talent brand. I think this is really interesting, a talent brand. So basically what we're talking about there is what your employees think about and feel and share about your company when they talk to others. And that's so huge. We were talking with a potential new client, and we were talking about recruiting, and we were giving them some ideas and tactics about how to do that in a social web world. And that whole thing, sort of really the retention component, is what we're talking about talent brand, right? Building your talent brand. Number 5 is optimize your hiring process. This is so critical. So this is sort of broken into 4 different things. And again, you're going to hear these things come up over and over in this sort of series here. Number 1 is to share your company culture and values in the interview process. Number 2 is to divide and conquer your interview process. So having multiple, and it could be a peer interview, it could have, multiple department interviews. Don't put all of the burden on one person to handle the interviews. I love this. Prioritize attitude over skills and experience. That's really something I think that's interesting, especially for small businesses. Many times we need to fill the void, especially if you're a service-based business. You need to immediately get someone in there who has, in our case, good writing skills, good communication skills, good media skills, team-oriented, and we're trying to fill the very specific, skill set. And what we're looking at, and what the article suggests, and I really think it's great, is think about core values first, think about attitude first, and then you can teach the skills, right? And then lastly, don't hire mini-me's. In other words, and this is really interesting too, don't try to look for someone who's just like the person who either is left, or the person who's, or the position that's opening, or someone that's just like me. Think about this as a culture add. If there's a piece of the culture that you want to add and you're looking at those core values, look for someone else to add to. For us, it would be either strategic or respectful or innovative or visionary. Like, those are the kinds of attitudes and characteristics we're looking for. Number 6, look for ways to constantly reinforce core values. And that, I love that. I think about my friends, Aegis Business Technology. Shout out to Blake Dowling and his team over at Aegis Business Technologies. They have this little unicorn award, and it really captures like going above and beyond and really exceeding the expectation. And I love their unicorn award. And that's just a simple example of a small business who, reinforces culture and reinforces that team-oriented core value, or the innovation core value. So you could come up with, different ways to really reinforce your core values. And then step 7 is to measure your culture. And you can do that through employee surveys. You can do that through employee referrals, where they refer someone else to come to the company. You can also look at employee rating sites. There are also those third-party sites out there that can help you, really have, and be honest, get a report card on, how your employees feel about your company. So again, those are the 7 steps or the roadmap for any small business who's really looking to recruit and build culture in order to sustain you for, the next 5 to 10 years. So again, step 1, why you do it, your core values, where are you going? Step 2, observe current culture and adapt. Step 3, like us, hire, but more specifically, make sure you have that chief heart officer who will make sure that the culture and the core values continue to move forward and cultivate. Step 4, build your talent brand. And step 5, optimize your hiring process. Step 6, look for ways to constantly reinforce your core values. And step 7, measure your culture. Guys, thank you so much for your time. Don't forget, we are hiring. I hope you'll visit our website at rboa.com and check out the opportunity there. My name is Michael Wynn. I'm the Chief Digital Officer. We'll catch you next time.